Tam Talks explores life, spirituality, and general weirdness through quirky storytelling and laughter, lighting you up in your life journey. Let's go! Welcome back to another episode of Tam Talks. So, I want to do a little chit chat about a really cool workshop that I went to. So, I have always in the back of my mind thought, oh, it would be so fun to do, like to try improv. So I literally took grade 10 drama. But other than that, I wasn't like a theater person. I didn't do anything like that other than that grade 10 drama, but I loved grade 10 drama. And I think it's stupid because I didn't want to be a theater geek. So, but I wish I had have continued and kind of went that way because I love, like, even when we were in grade 9, grade 10, I don't know if I think we kind of stopped around grade 11, but my group of friends and we would get together, and our one friend had the camcorder. She was like the rich one that had the camcorder back then in the early 90s. And so we would record. So we would go to her basement, and they had, for some reason, all these like dress up clothes and just props and funny stuff. And at the time, we loved Saturday Night Live. So we would go, my group of friends and I think there were maybe like 6 of us, we would reenact the skits from Saturday Night Live and record them on the camcorder and then watch them back and just be like, oh, we're so funny. But we had so many fun laughs. Like I still remember Kim doing the Running Man, and then she didn't know the garbage can was that close behind her. So on camera, she starts doing the Running Man, and then she kicks the garbage can and it flies. And literally all of us just drop to the ground in laughter. It was like classic bloopers, right? So anyways, other than that, and always, like when I was a little kid growing up, I'd always put on plays like skits, and then I would have dance routines with other friends. And then I've always been about like the performing arts, though I've never formally done that. I feel like that's one of my deep callings. And I've said before, I always wanted to be an actor, a movie star on the big screen, but I don't know. I just didn't. Maybe it's still coming. I always say that as well. It's still coming. So, anywho, I have always thought like that show. Do you remember Whose Line Is It Anyway? Anyways. I only watched a few episodes. Like I was more, like I said, that Saturday Night Live. Whose Line Is It Anyway? I don't know when that was popular. If that was like when I was starting to have the boys and stuff or whatnot. But anyways, I liked it. I watched a few of them, but I thought it was hilarious that they would basically give you a scene and then you had to do something. So I didn't know how much was kind of behind it. I didn't know the learning behind it. So fast forward to this past Thursday, the Norfolk Insider, which is this wonderful newsletter, if I haven't already mentioned it, that Brad Motteshed created. And it's this newsletter for the community, Norfolk County, and he lists out all of the kind of events coming up for the week ahead, any special, like there's little articles, people can submit articles about historical things, special events. There's all sorts of, it's just super cool. It's a really great concept. And there are a ton of people, as soon as he started it, a ton of people subscribed because it's like this one-stop shop where you can find out, oh, what's going on. So anyways, on the newsletter, and then I run the dinner club that Brad started from the Insider as well. And then my friend Ariana has been working with Brad for a while doing the marketing, like the social media and whatnot. So anyways, Thursday morning, I'm reading through the edition of it. And I see this thing for an improv workshop at the Simcoe Little Theater. So we have the Lighthouse Theater in Port Dover and the Simcoe Little Theater in Simcoe. And I've been to several, I don't even know how many productions at the Lighthouse Theater, probably somewhere between 7 and 10. They are fantastic. I remember going a couple of times and saying to my mom, this is comparable to the shows downtown Toronto. When you go to the Princess of Wales, when you go Massey Hall, like actual theater, these guys are fantastic. So, and then my friend Ariana and I went around Christmas time to see the one at the Simcoe Little Theater. Oh, it's a something if you don't. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. And we saw the pamphlet when we were leaving. Anyways, so I see this thing and it's for a workshop. So they've got an external facilitator coming in, but they're hosting it at Simcoe Little Theater. There's a little description. It's like, yeah, come for an interactive evening, learn about improv, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Was it for that night? I can't remember if it was Thursday night or Friday night. No, it was Thursday night. It was that night. It was very spontaneous and it was $5. So I'm like, I'm doing it. So I like get my ticket. And then I told Brad and Ariana in our little group chat, I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going to go to this. I've always wanted to. And also then I can do a little write up maybe for the newsletter about my experience with it. So I thought, oh, I'm going to do a podcast about it too. So Ariana's like, I saw that. I was actually thinking I might go too. And I'm like, you should, let's do it. So she's like, okay, I'm going to see how the day goes and then I'll let you know. So I hadn't heard from her. And then I was planning on leaving at like 6:30 and I think it was 10 after 6 and she messages me and she's like, so are you still going? And I'm like, yes. Are you coming? She's like, yes. So the two of us hop in the car, we go, not knowing at all what to expect. So we get to the theater and it seems like everybody knows everybody. And then Ariana's talking to the one person who she knows from the cheese shop and I don't know, whatever. But majority of the people there were actors from our theaters, from the Lighthouse. And I was like, oh, I remember seeing that person. And oh, I remember seeing that person. It was so cool. Anyways, so the guy has like long, I guess his name is Rob or Ron. Oh. Anyways, he introduces himself very briefly, very humble guy. I think very experienced, has a lot of years of working in theater, but specifically improv. There were about 20 of us there, and we come in, and everybody's kind of like chit chatting, and people have drinks. They had like the bar open, you could just get it, whatever. So, anyways, yeah, so everybody's like, all right, let's get started. And so he does his quick little humble introduction. And then he's like, all right, everybody get up, come on over here onto this main floor. We're going to make 2 big circles. We weren't on the stage or anything. And he said, he did it like it was really cool because there's me. I'm like totally in. And Ariana's a bit more reserved. And she's like, okay, this is out of my comfort zone. Like, so he kind of laid out the not the rules, but the guidelines ahead of time where if there's anything that you're uncomfortable with, you can always pass. You can go and sit down and not participate whenever you want. So it was a very welcoming vibe. It was very, whatever. It was just super cool. So, anyways, and he had like posters around with like kind of the 4 rules. Don't quiz me on them. And just kind of some good ideas to follow. I remember the one, don't like never block anyone. And so, anyways, we went through, so it was workshop style, but it was very interactive. So we're in our, I don't even, oh yeah, we're in our 2 separate groups and we had to do just fun things like introduce yourself with an alliteration. So I can't remember the first one I said, but the second one was terrific tamiah and tantalizing Tina. I remember that. So funny. And yeah, so anyways, we did 2 rounds of that. And then we had to do this game where our backs are all towards each other in the circle. And then you had to turn around and like draw your pretend gun and say a person's name before them. Like you had to make eye contact, say their alliteration name. And then whoever says it first, the other person has to like fake their death. And then once there's one person left from each group, then they do it with each other and see who, whatever. So of course I won my side. I think I won the whole thing actually. But I don't know. The girl and I basically at the end did it at the same time, but she faked her death. So I was like, okay, I'll take the W, as the kids would say. So, anyways, the evening ran. So we had you basically partnered up with one person who you didn't know. And then that was like I can't remember what he called it, but it's almost like your baseline partner. So throughout the night, you would do other exercises with other partners, but then that was like your main partner. So I think we did 4 things together throughout the night, that main partner. And it was so funny because my main partner, her name was Melissa, and she's one of the actors. Like I said, most of them, I don't even need to say that because most of them were actors. And she was so cute, and her and I were just ridiculous right off the top. And we were like, okay, do you want a partner? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, okay, so the person you've just picked is your life partner. And he's like setting the scene. Well, she like links arms and she's like, hi, hun. Like we just immediately go into character. It was so funny. And so the whole night we were just ridiculous because he'd be like, okay, find your partner, your main partner. And we would be across the room and like she would be like, oh, and I'd be crawling towards her. Like we were just ridiculous. But oh my gosh, it was so funny. So, anyways, so we had all these different scenarios where you had to, like, he would give you the description and then you had to improvise the conversation based on that. But he like scaffolded the learning with layers of the tools of improv, which who knew? Like when we left, Ariana was like, I have a whole new respect for actors, but specifically improv, because there's all sorts of kind of tools that you can use. And one of them was um, so basically one upping them with, so if they're talking about this adventure they've had or something, then you have to blow it up and make it bigger. And then the other tool would be to do the reverse. So, and I was partnered up with the organizer for this one, and he did like the lowest, like, oh, and my dog died, and this. And then so I had to make it worse than that. And I was like, what? So then I built off of the other story that we had created and then basically made it that my husband died and his brains were splattered like a watermelon. But I'm like, but he was shit for brains. So then there was poop everywhere. Like it was so silly and so fun and so creative and just so on the dime. It was awesome. It was so much fun. And everybody there, actors or not, were so welcoming. And we had to do funny things. Like one of the other group activities, we had to stand in a circle and pretend that there was this big pile of plasticine in the middle. And we had to mime. That was another one, was to mime. So you had to create, like, do what you were making, and then people had to guess it. And then there was another one where you had a partner, like one person would go in the middle of the circle and start doing something, and then another person would jump in and add to the scene. And once the third person had figured it out, then they would tap out, they would yell freeze, and they would tap one of the characters out, and then they would step into that position, but with creating a new scenario. So funny. So, and it was like, he was like, you've got to be physical. Like, you have to be like touching each other and all this stuff. So, like, the one scene, which I was like, oh, I hope. So, my partner, Melissa, so she's in there and they did, I can't remember what their original scene was, but I got it. And the one girl had like her arms around her. It was so funny. And then I instantly thought, oh my gosh, I can make it like she's choking and I'm giving her the Heimlich. So and she's this little skinny thing. So after the fact, so I'm doing that. Someone finally, like, I'm like, can someone please help? So they tagged me. So after I was like, I hope I didn't break you. She's like this little tiny thing, and I'm like pretending to give her the Heimlich, and I was like, wait, maybe that hurt. So anyway, she was like, no, it was fine. But oh my gosh. So the whole evening, it was 2 hours long, and there were so many things that we learned. And I have, like I said before, so much respect for people who could do improv and just coming up with these cool ideas on the dime. And there were photos taken. Actually, I haven't even checked their social media, but oh boy. So, yes, we learned, we made friends, and yeah, it was just these really cool different scenarios. We learned about not blocking people, which means, so if you're working with someone, that's always your partner. So you want to always continue the scene. So you don't want to ask questions that would be like, well, what do you mean? Because that just stops the scene. You want to extend it, or not like contradict them. You want to work with the scene and be like crazy and silly and creative, but keep that scene going and keep it rolling. And I think we did that. And it was really cool because he said he skipped a whole bunch of lessons because he said, you guys, this group is really good. And he stressed at the beginning, this is a beginner's one. So whatever. So he skipped through and said, nope, we're going to move on to this one because it's, you guys can handle it, you're really good, and all this stuff. So, and it was cool because there were probably equal amount of men and lots of like older men, but just great people. And it was so funny, just a lot of creative minds. And yeah, so it was wonderful. I highly recommend it. They said they may look into expanding it or doing another one and whatever. So I was like, absolutely, I'll come back. I'm like, this was our first time and it was so much fun. So all of that to say that there are so many things available if we just kind of give it a chance. So put yourself out there, maybe go after those things that are outside of your comfort zone. Shout out to Ariana for doing that. And you may learn something new. You may meet some amazing people and you may have a fantastic night. So, shout out to the Simcoe Little Theater, the Lighthouse Theater, the whole crew, and Ron, I'm sorry, from London, who facilitated. It was such a great evening and I can't wait for another one. So, yeah, thanks for listening and peace out. Thanks for hanging out and listening to my wild and wacky Tam Talks. Follow Tam Talks to be notified of new episodes. Peace out!